What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cozy Talks. I'm Joe.
What is up? I'm Zahias.
And this week we got UFC Paris, Kyle Borralho versus Nasruddin Imavov. We're going to be going over all our picks today, doing a breakdown and giving our predictions. Yeah.
Yep. And if you haven't already, we really appreciate it if you go ahead and like and subscribe. And also leave a comment. Tell us how your day's going. We appreciate that as well. Anyways, Joe,
With that being said,
let's
let's get
jump
into it.
into it.
First fight of the night, open up the prelims. We got a women's strawweight bout. We got Shauna Bannon versus Sam Hughes.
Sam Hughes is from Everett.
Yeah, that's
She is
right.
from Everett, by the
I
way.
think she's a fat favorite.
She is a huge favorite. I was really interested. I wasn't. Nah, I wasn't interested. I was kind of shocked seeing that she was the favorite going into this fight against someone like Shauna Bannon.
Right.
Who kind of has a little bit of a hype train behind her. But I mean,
Yeah.
who do you think's gonna win here? Because
I mean,
honestly, I'm gonna go with the person coming from Washington. I
yeah,
think
exactly. I'm rolling with the hometown girl.
Yeah.
And yeah, so my breakdown for this fight is Bannon's coming off of a win over Puja Tomar. It was a really weird, unorthodox sequence. Puja had Shauna on her back, and Shauna pretty sure shot up an armbar. And Puja kind of put herself more into the armbar instead of kind of backing out of it. And yeah, she got the finish. It was a really weird sequence. She has that kind of like that open karate stance when she fights. She likes to get in, get out, get a couple of strikes off. Not a lot of power behind her hands. This is a fight that I would definitely see hitting the scorecards. As for most of women's MMA, but these two in particular don't really get that many finishes in their careers. And on the other side of this coin, we got Sam Hughes. Like we said, she's a hometown girl out of Everett. She's the gritty vet. She's been in the UFC for a while. She's 5-5 in the UFC, and she, in my opinion, has the more well-rounded game. She's able to pour on the strikes. She has the volume. She's able to get the wrestling going, get the control time.
Yeah.
Her only problem is that she likes to kind of get into the fights a little later in the match. She starts off pretty slow. She's a slow burner. So as long as she can survive the first and kind of get her game plan rolling in the second and the third, I see her pulling it off, getting that 29-28, and if she does have a good first round, maybe the 30-27. But that's how I see this one playing out.
I agree with you. I got Sam Hughes winning here as well. I think Sam Hughes just she has more experience when it comes to Shauna Bannon.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do think she's the more consistent fighter, out of the
Yeah.
two, and she's way more composed. Getting into those tough situations, like you were saying, she ends up finding herself in the later rounds when the fights start to get, really hard. So I think Sam Hughes, she's just more composed in there. Like you were saying, she's also very well rounded.
Yeah.
One thing though is he's gonna have to struggle with Shauna Bannon's distance managing.
Yeah.
But I do see Sam Hughes getting in there because Sam Hughes is really good with grappling and getting in the clinch game. Um, both of them can grapple a little bit. I think Sam Hughes's grappling game is better than Bannon's though.
But yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, Bannon did show that
yeah, I
she has a
don't.
bit of grappling, but I don't think it's going
Yeah,
to be enough for Sam Hughes,
but But like you were saying though, Pooja kind of made mistakes during that fight.
Yeah.
She kind of did give it up for Bannon to go in there and snag that. But
Yeah.
regardless, I do think this is going to be a little bit of a competitive scrap. I don't see a finish happening here.
Yeah.
But I think Sam Hughes can get it done, and I think it'll be probably by decision.
Yeah. Sam Hughes decision. All right, moving on. Next fight of the card, we got Renat Fakardina versus Andreas Gustafsson. My pick in this one.
It should be a pretty good fight.
Yeah, I think this should be further up the card. I think this is gonna be a low key a banger. But you gotta balance out the card somewhere. Can't make it too top heavy. But yeah, my pick in this one is Gustafsson. The odds were kind of crazy when they opened. They had Gustafsson as the underdog, but now they've kind of adjusted to what's actually playing out here, and they do agree that Gustafsson should be the favorite. Um, yeah, who do you got here?
Honestly, I got Renat.
Do you?
You know, I got Renat in this fight. You know, this is kind of like one of those classic wrestler versus striker, you know, type of matches. But both these guys, I mean, you know, both these fighters, they have multiple knockouts, you know, on
Mm,
their, you know, on their record. Um, they could both grapple. I know Gustafsson has, you know, his last fight against who was it, Chaos Williams.
yeah,
You know, he was holding him up against the cage for pretty much the whole fight. Um,
yeah. You
but
worked quite a few takedowns in that one.
yeah, he did. But you know, when it comes to Renat, though, I mean, he could wrestle and he could strike. You know, he's knocking dudes out as well. Um, but I know Gustafsson has some power, though, bro. He does have some scary power.
Yeah.
Um, but I see this fight going the distance, though.
Do you?
I don't think it'll end early.
Okay, okay.
I do see this fight going the distance. And like I said, you know, both these guys are really good everywhere. But I think Renat could, you know, out wrestle and, you know, out grapple Gustafsson. Um, I mean, based off his last performance too, um, I see Renat kind of outpacing Gustafsson as well.
Okay.
And you know, taking the fight back. Sorry, excuse me.
You're
I
good.
think, you know, ultimately, I think Gustafsson is going to be coming out kind of like a bull early on, and then I think he's going to get a little gassed out, and we're not going to see that coming, and maybe in the later rounds, maybe we finish, but I do see this fight going the distance.
Okay. Oh, excuse me. Jeez, we both got a little gas. My problem is well, my prediction here is Gustafsson, and let me get into the breakdown for both these guys real quick. So Fakardinov, he has a pretty solid resume. He has wins over guys like Brian Battle. He had a win over Kevin Lee when Kevin Lee was still in the UFC. He had this majority decision over Alexa Dulesky. Kind of an unimpressive win. And then he had the split versus Dalby, another kind of unimpressive win. And then he has a unanimous decision against Carlos Real, where this is where you and I have that meme Z about the 30-27. That's where this is the fight that this came from. Uh, where we thought Carlos Real absolutely won that fight, 29-28, and they threw a 30-27 into that for Renat, and then they gave him another judge gave him a 29-28. I'm pretty sure that's
They
how
were in they were in
I'm pretty sure that's how I'm pretty
opposite.
sure how I remember that one playing out. But it was like a total fucking steal. Um, and yeah, so I mean, Renat, yes, he does have good wins, but he also has wins that should not be on his record. His most impressive win might be this Brian Battle win. He got two 10-8 rounds off of Brian Battle in this one. And then he still beat him unanimous. It was like 30-25s and then a 30-27, I think is what it was. So yeah, I mean, Renat has a good record, but I just don't think the record really shows, what it needs to be showing. On the other side, we got Andreas Gustafsson. He's a guy out of Dana White's Contender Series. Yeah, he's kind of like a zombie, dude. He's got that, I wouldn't say infinite gas tank, but he's shown to, he'd be able to survive 3 rounds and keep the game plan flowing.
Yeah, keep that
Um,
same pace.
yeah, I mean, he's got insane power in his hands. I think this fight kind of sets Andreas up to be a problem in the top 15. Um, Especially if he can get a finish here. But that's the problem though, is you're going out and fighting a guy who's 24-2. He has double the experience of you, and he has way more time in the UFC. This might be the fight that, both these guys. This is a big fight for both of them. I think rankings are in both their futures. Depending on how the outcome of this fight plays. But Andreas kind of got that weird Muay Thai style. I wouldn't even call it Muay Thai, but it is. He does throw knees, he throws elbows. He likes to play tight in the clinch along the fence, and he does like to wrestle. He shot a lot of takedowns on Chaos Williams. But Renat, he's. Let me look at him, bro. You know what he's got. He's got the Dagestani chin strap right here. This guy lives in the realm of wrestling when he has to.
No mustache,
No mustache.
straight beard, brother.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just a matter of who can get their game plan going in this one and who can execute when they need to execute. Because yeah, like I said, I think this one's hitting the scorecard as well. I mean, it's just a matter of who is going to be able to implement their game and win their rounds, especially from the positions that they're in. So yeah, moving on to the next fight, we got Brad Tavares versus Robert Briggshack. I'm just gonna call him Rob. I don't know how to say
Yeah, Robert.
it. What do you got here?
I'm gonna go on a whim here, dude, and I got the dog in this fight. I'm honestly really
Is
surprised
the
that
dog still
Brad Tavares
still a Rob?
is yeah, Robert. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Robert.
Yep.
Uh, he's a pretty big dog on this fight, and
It's kind of
just Brad
surprising.
Tavares.
I feel like it's
Yeah,
surprising, honestly, but
well, he isn't he like 30? He's 35, isn't he?
yeah, and he just came off his debut and he lost in his debut pretty like
Hmm.
he came off a super like shit performance.
But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna go on a whim, and I'm gonna pick the underdog here. Against a true UFC vet like Brad Tavares. And the reason being is if Robert can get to Tavares early, with his power, he could most definitely win.
Yeah.
I mean, like if he could get him out early, he could win.
Mhm.
Uh, Tavares has been finished 5 times out of his career, and 3 of them being in the first round as well. But at the end of it, like I said, Tavares is he's a true UFC vet.
He's a scorecard
Um,
demon, dude. Look at his record.
yeah,
Look at the way this shit
yeah,
plays out for him. I was looking at this earlier, but buddy loves the scorecards.
yeah. If he could weather the storm of Robert, and he could take the early onslaught, and gas out Robert, which he doesn't do well when the fight goes on after the first.
Yeah.
Tavares can find a win here for sure,
Yeah.
but I think Robert can get it done early. I think against a guy like Tavares, I mean,
Yeah. I think that's what these
they're
odds are
both
reflecting. I think they're just
yeah, they're
reflecting that, Brad makes it out of the first and then he just survives because Brad's definitely a point fighter. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of
yeah,
finishes in his career.
yeah, and like I was saying, like he's a vet,
Mhm.
he's a real journeyman.
Yeah.
Um, and both these dudes are old. It's not like Robert's like fucking 30, and he's coming off these crazy knockout wins, but he's
Yeah.
35 and he still has some power in his hand, so I think he could get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the breakdown I got. So I'm saying that Tavares, he's kind of had a rough go in his last five, but I mean, he's like I said, he's a vet. He's been in the UFC for forever. I mean, he has a very long list of fights in the UFC, dating back to 2010. So
Yeah.
he's and he's still. And what's crazy, he's not even really that old, 37, and he's been around since 2010. He got in super young. Um, but yeah, he's kind of had a rough go at it. He had his that KO loss to Bruno Silva when Bruno Silva was probably at his peak. 2.5 years ago, and then he gets knocked out by RoboCop when RoboCop was up and coming and was looking like a freak. And then he comes off this split loss, which maybe I haven't rewatched this fight, but pretty sure this was closer than a split. Maybe it was in favor of Brad. But then he's coming off of a clinic against GM3 where he was clearly in control. GM3 hasn't looked like himself in his last few fights. He just came off that KO loss to Alex Zacic. But yeah, and then on the other side we got Robert. He's coming off of a loss in his debut to Ior Potera, who I'm pretty sure he's not even in the UFC anymore if I remember right.
Pretty sure you got cut.
Yeah, and Eeyore kind of had a rough go at it in his career as well. He had his 3 in a row losses. And he had a couple of the prospects. He lost Michel Pereira. He did beat Robert, but Eeyore did come in heavy in that fight as well. So that's something else we got to note. So he definitely did fight a heavier opponent, but he was outclassed everywhere in that fight. I mean, he landed like a third of the strikes that Eeyore landed. But But he is like I said, he is a first round guy. He has 9 wins by KO in the first. Um, he has 10 wins in the first round, and then nine of those are by KO. He does have the power to put a guy out like Brad Tavares, but it's just whether or not he will be able to, because we're talking about a guy who has, he has five knockout losses. Um, but he's a scorecard guy, so he knows how to survive and how to play the long game here. So it's just But my pick is Robert. I like the underdog money on a guy who we're kind of seeing this just track record happen with some of these guys who are coming over from other orgs. Like Pitbull, for example, he came off, had a shit performance in his first fight, and he bounces back and puts on a clinic in his second fight. Maybe this is an example of what we're going to see here. So it's just whether or not that happens. But yeah, I believe in the Polish power in the hands of Robert here.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got this is the fight that I'm actually very interested to watch here.
I was just about to say that I'm kind of excited to see this.
Yeah.
Sam Patterson.
Yeah, Sam Patterson took my money last time. I didn't bet on the guy. I bet against him when you fought Danny Barlow. But yeah, I'm not going to be wrong this time. I'm picking Sam Patterson in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there with you. I got Sam Patterson winning this as well.
Yeah, and like I said, Patterson kind of proved a lot of people wrong. I think a majority of people were on the Danny Barlow knockout train there, just because he has crazy hands, he has insane boxing, and he's coming up against a guy who had a crazy knockout loss to Ashmoose when Ashmoose was coming up. He was 6-0. But Sam Patterson kind of proved us wrong. He knocked out Danny Barlow. We knew that Sam Patterson had a good submission game, and he comes in and he stands and bangs with Danny Barlow. And
who is it? Like primarily, dominant striker.
Yeah. So now it kind of raises the questions like, okay, was that a fluke, or is Sam Patterson legit? Like, is this guy gonna be able to take this fight anywhere the fight goes? Is he just the more well-rounded guy now? So I think that's the next question is, how does he come into his next fight after a fight like that? He's on a 3-fight win streak, so and I think they're all finishes. So I think this is the time for Sam Patterson to make that leap into the next little tier of welterweight here. And on the other side we got Trey Waters, who he was on Dana White Contender Series. He lost to Gabriel Bonfim, who the next few years is probably going to be in the contention for a title shot. He's coming off of a win versus Wonder Boy, and then he bangs off 3 wins, one in the LFA, and then he makes his debut against Quinlan, and then he fights Billy Ray Goff. But my knock on Trey Waters is he's coming to the UFC and he's not finishing these guys that want it just as bad as he does. And I don't rate Billy Ray Goff or Josh Quinlan too highly. So, that's kind of my thing is like, you got a guy like Sam Patterson who he's a guy who wants to get this fight out, not see the scorecards. And you got a guy who, is seeing the scorecards against guys that, I don't rate too highly. So that's why my pick here is on Sam Patterson. I think that, Sam Patterson inside the distance is very, very live. He is only a slight favorite. So, method of victory props are going to be at decent odds, I think, everywhere. I think Sam Patterson sub, though, would be the play. I think he's the bigger fighter. Or no, Trey Waters is bigger, bro. Welterweight? Holy shit. 6'5" and a welterweight? Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, I thought I had to sneeze for a second. I'm going to be completely honest, dude. I don't see Trey Waters winning this fight at all.
Mm-hmm.
At all. Like you were saying, Trey Waters lost to Gabriel Bonfim, and I mean,
yeah,
Gabriel Bonfim, he's legit. He's real legit.
It's a valid loss.
And when he went to he lost to Bonfim when he went to Dana White Contender Series, and then after that, went to the LFA, won the belt over there, and then currently on this 2-fight win streak. But like you said, those are against Billy Ray Goff and Josh Quinlan. And he won those 2 by decision.
Yeah.
After that fight with Josh Quinlan ended up losing his next 3 fights after that.
Yeah, so they're not very good wins. That's
and I'm pretty sure he got finished. And those next 3 fights, Josh Quinlan. And the last one was not even in the UFC. He got cut from the UFC. And same thing with Billy Ray Goff. He doesn't have as much losses, but the next fight he went on to fight after Trey Waters, he lost as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, Patterson is kind of in the same boat. I mean, he beat Kiefer Crosby, and Crosby is currently on a 3-fight losing streak.
And his last one was a
Uh,
bad one.
yeah, and his last one
Shout
was a
out Mark
real bad
Goddard.
one. Yeah, but
But the Danny Borralho,
Patterson,
man.
yeah, exactly. But Patterson, he finished Barlow, and I
Hmm.
mean, Barlow is a very good striker, and Patterson being a grappler and knocking out a dominant striker like Barlow, bro.
Hmm.
Both these fighters are coming off of 3-fight win streaks, but the way they're winning their fights, though, like you were
Very, very
saying,
different. Yeah.
Sam Patterson, his 3-fight win streak, he's coming off of 3 finishes.
And they
Trey Waters, his 3-fight win streak,
got one
you
finish
know,
and two
yeah,
decisions.
one finish and 2
And his
decisions
last
where
fight was over a year ago.
exactly.
So
I don't see Trey Waters winning this fight at all. And a guy like Sam Patterson, he's from the UK, isn't he?
yeah, I think so. Yep,
Yeah,
UK.
so I mean, fighting in Paris, it's not the UK, but I'm pretty sure he'll
He'll have
he'll feel a
a
lot.
crowd.
Yeah, he'll have a little bit of a hype behind him. So my pick is Sam Patterson, and I think he can get it done inside the.
Yeah, I like it. Moving on, we got the short notice fight. We got Callaway Fernandez versus Harry Hardwick. Hardwick is coming in on 4 days' notice. He's super short notice. My pick here, just given the circumstances, is Callaway. And reason being, like I said, just because of short notice, Callaway was on a camp. He was preparing to fight. Who was it? Ziam.
Ziam.
Yeah, but Ziam's he had a death in the family, and he wants to be there for his family, which is totally respectable and totally understandable. Sorry for his loss. Yeah,
That's crazy. Like, it's so funny when a fighter pulls out because you hear so many different things. Like the first thing I heard was that he had a shoulder injury,
yeah.
and then apparently he rolled his ankle, and then now,
Not hearing that. Yeah,
yeah, now I'm hearing what you said. So
yeah, and
that's weird.
and in this fight is taking place at lightweight. Harry Hardwick has been fighting at featherweight down in Cage Warriors. He was the champ down in Cage Warriors. He is going to be the taller fighter coming into this. I couldn't find his reach anywhere online, but I'm still rolling with Callaway either way because Callaway has been fighting at this weight class and he's a little more acclimated to it. He does have a few fights here. And Callaway does have he has some pretty good striking. He has shown a little bit of grappling, but he has been he does just have the more. I think he's going to come in with the more pop in his hands here. Hardwick, like I said, just to come in on short notice, and he does have finishes on the feet, does have finishes on the ground, so he can play anywhere this goes as well. But I just gotta roll Callaway just because he's coming in on a full camp.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm gonna ask you this real quick.
What's up?
If you was still fighting Zaim, who would you have?
I would have Zion.
Mm,
I'd be rolling fires for sure.
I'm not gonna lie. I was riding with Fernandez. I was riding with Fernandez when he was matched against Ziam. But now
Now we
I am
don't. Yeah.
I am looking at Hardwick. I have Harry Hardwick winning this fight. I really like this guy. And you know why? You know why? Is
Because you're a
because I see
degenerate.
nah, bro. I see a dude who's hungry. I see a dude
Yeah.
who's hungry.
4 days
and I
notice is
see
crazy.
and I see someone who is looking for a shot to fight with the big dogs, bro.
Yeah.
I see a dude who is taking this short notice fight as an opportunity.
Kind of like what we just saw with the Sir Kaya fight.
He's coming from Cage Warriors. Cage Warriors is it's a pretty good scene to be coming from, and he's also ranked number 2 in the UK as a featherweight.
Yeah.
And he's riding off of an 8-fight win streak. He defended his belt twice before getting this short notice fight. Like we said, he's coming from Cage Warriors. 4 out of his last 8 were by finish. coming into this fight on short notice, I think the play, is the underdog. I think the
I
underdog
like it.
here,
Yeah,
I do like it, because like he's not I look at his record and like he has that experience. I mean, he's dominating in the Cage Warriors.
yeah.
Um,
I will say about Callaway, I mean his wins haven't been very impressive. I mean Muhammad Yahya, he's been just going down and down in the rankings.
mhm.
And then his last win against Guram Kutaladze, it was a prelim opener fight. Kutaladze, pretty sure he got cut, or if I'm pretty sure he did. I could be wrong about that. But Guram, he was kind of just a disappointment for the UFC. They thought this guy was going to be the next big thing coming out of Georgia,
I
training with
remember
guys
that
like
fight,
Marab.
dude.
Yeah,
He had Hamzat Ilya in his corner that fight.
yeah,
That was him, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
he had
It
Armin.
was just a pretty disappointing fight. For Guram, but it was a masterclass performance for Callaway. He got to show his skills everywhere. It was a big fight for him because Callaway. I'm pretty sure Callaway was the underdog in that fight too. So yeah,
I just see this Harry Hardwick dude, and I just see a dog, bro. I see a dog,
yeah,
and you know, to 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 not overplay this though, to kind of go back to the guy who has been training and who has been preparing for, a fight for, more than 4 days. Um,
yeah,
you know, Fernandez is 2-3 in the UFC, and like you were saying, some of his wins aren't really either.
yeah,
Um, but he's never been finished in the UFC. He is Fernandez is technical. He's a very technical striker. He being a black belt in Muay Thai.
yeah.
But his gas tank is kind of questionable as well.
Mhm.
He does kind of gas out, and I'm just gonna go with the guy, bro. Like I said, I want to go with the guy who's proven himself, from
Yeah,
in the regional scene, completely dominating
yeah,
and riding with some momentum coming into this fight, and seeing an opportunity to be on a bigger stage and with a larger organization. I
Ye-
think this guy's gonna seize that opportunity. He's not gonna let that go. But I mean, it's never guaranteed, but
yeah,
that's just what I feel. I feel like Harry Hardwick's gonna get it done.
yeah. And obviously, there's no odds on this yet because this fight just came about recently. But we can expect to probably see
But
Callaway in the probably minus 300 range
yeah,
just because of the short notice circumstance. Yeah, moving on. Next fight, we get a heavyweight bout. Marcin Tybura versus Ante Delija. Um, who you got, Z? I'll let you take this one first.
I got Marcin Tybura.
Do you?
I got Marcin Tybura. I mean, again, regardless of the age, I think of how huge of a journeyman Tybura is, and this is the first fight for Ante Dilija. This is the first fight in the UFC for him.
Yeah,
And I mean, give me the vet, bro. Give me the vet who has already beaten him, first of all, who's already beaten him back in 2015.
yeah.
And honestly, if we had seen Ante fight Gone back in 2020, because that was a canceled bout, if we had seen that, I don't think Ante would be in this conversation right now, bro, because I think Gone would have torched him and Ante would have never touched the UFC again. But
Yeah,
like I said, Tybura has way more experience in the UFC, bro. He's been fighting top 10 heavyweights his whole career. You know what I mean? He is the true fucking
he's a
journeyman
staple.
when it comes to this. Exactly, bro. And he has a solid fucking clinch game. He's
Oh
he's
fuck!
a big dude. He could grapple. He could wrestle. I mean,
I was gonna sneeze,
um,
man. He sneezes are attacking us.
yeah,
Ah.
I've been getting them too. I feel like I have to sneeze.
Oh fuck!
And like I was saying, he has a strong top game when he secures takedowns.
Yeah,
And I mean, Ante being a champ in PFL is great. I mean, that's great. I'm not talking down on that, but
there's a lot
um,
of cans over in the PFL.
in that transition, we talk about that transition coming from these different organizations, and I mean, everyone comes from an organization, but when we talk about this, it's the dudes who come from an organization and switch over to the UFC early on, and they're mainly in the UFC building up that skill level, where compared to dudes who were fighting in these other organizations for a long period of time and then coming to the UFC and trying to fight the top dogs in the UFC, they end up getting bitched. So,
Yeah.
um, like I said, Tybura, he's been fighting top tens his whole fucking career, bro.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I think Ante's going to be coming in with a chip on his shoulder, especially losing to Tybura
Yeah, it is a
already.
rematch, like you're saying.
Yeah, this is a rematch, but I think Tybura is going to make it a tough fight regardless. He's
Yeah.
going to make it a real tough fight, and the experience will show come fight night.
Yeah.
So my pick here is Marcin Tybura.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. When I originally did my write up, I did have Tybura, but then after I wrote it up, this was like one of those fights that like I had a hard time deciding on. I was flipping back and forth a few times on it, and I just was like, well, it's a rematch, but the first time they fought, Delija broke his leg.
That was pretty nasty.
So it was a fight where I don't recall when it happened exactly, but I just read it and saw that it wasn't a fight that was an actual like legit finish. But like I said, Delija is a champ. He's a former PFL champ. He is coming over, making his UFC debut. He has strong cage work. You can look back at his fight against Renan Ferreira. Ferreira is like 6'8", and I'll say Delija just held him against the fence, got him to the ground. He picked him up. He picked up a 6'8" dude, got him on his ass, and then just controlled him the whole time from half guard, and then just smoked him down with hammer fists and won in the first round. And Renan Ferreira is that guy who fought Francis Ngannou. That Ngannou kind of did the same game plan, picked him up and got him to the ground and just beat his ass on the ground. But yeah, no, I look at it and I'm just like Tybura. He's on a 2-fight win streak against Honana Deniz, who he definitely beat the shit out of. He was dropping elbows, dropping bombs on him from full mount. And then he's coming off of a fight against Mick Parkin, which you could make an argument for Mick Parkin here in that fight if you go back and rewatch it. It was one of those fights that was kind of just like, you're kind of questioning how it's a unanimous decision in favor of Tybura. But like you're saying, he is the veteran. But I'm just rolling on Ante Delija just simply based off the fact that he he's already been to the top before, whether or not it was another organization. It's PFL, which is like PFL Bellator. And he understands what it takes to win. He's been in those 5-round fights. And I think he's just gonna be able to implement a stronger game plan here. And I see this one seeing the scorecards, which is kind of unfortunate for a heavyweight bout. But a lot of these early prelim fights, they are gonna be bangers, but they are probably gonna be very competitive scorecards. I think the judges are gonna have a long night. So yeah, my pick is just on Delija in this one. Not too much else to say for me here. Moving on, we got Umar Sy versus Brenson Ribeiro. This is a light heavyweight bout. We got Sy, who was just simply put, he was project in his last fight against Alonzo Menafield. Alonzo Menafield, he's had a pretty solid run in the UFC. He's been top 15 guy for quite a few years now. So this is like that fight you gotta win if you want to crack the top 15. Alonzo Menafield's been playing gatekeeper. He's beat Julius Walker in Seattle when we were there. That fight sucked though, but he definitely outclassed Umar Sy everywhere, and that was pretty obvious in that fight. This feels like a bounce back fight, 100%. He's getting a guy who's very chinny, and Brenson Ribeiro. Umar Sy has finishing ability. He has wins on the feet. He also has some submissions. Brenson Ribeiro, he had that Kimura win against DR Nurgajai. One of his last times out. His last time out, he had a brutal knockout to Azmat Mirzakhanov. I think he's a top 10 guy now. I think he's like number 8. Maybe I'm wrong. I know he's in the rankings though for sure. But either way, this feels like the fight to get Umar Sy back into a ranking conversation for sure. And that's how I see it going. I see Umar Sy probably round 1, if not round 2.
Yep, I'm there with you. I think Omar Sy is gonna get it done. I honestly think if Ribeiro loses this, he might be getting cut. I
You
mean,
think
you know,
so?
with the hype that kind of came behind him too, like, you know, he's a young dude. He has a lot of finishes. He's kind of crazy, you know. He's real aggressive early in the fight. I mean, he's currently 2-3 in the UFC, and his recent loss being back in June, you know, and getting finished in
Short
round
turnaround.
one. Yeah, Omar Sy has a very good pedigree, though. You know, even though he set back, you know, with the Manifield fight, this guy is very well rounded. You know, having finishes in subs and knockouts, and you know, 3 decision wins. And his only loss is by decision as well. Um, I think Omar Sy, like you were talking about, this is gonna set him up, especially against a dude against you know, Brennison Ribeiro. Um, but I think Ribeiro, I think he's gonna come into this fight, you know, I like how he always does. He's gonna come into this fight like a fucking bull,
Mm.
because like I said, I feel like he's close to getting cut because you know there was a lot, there's a little bit of a hype behind this guy, and then you know he just ends up getting finished. Um,
And his wins don't
I
really
think
hold a lot of volume.
exactly that as well. I think he needs to find a finish here if he wants to keep his name out there and
Yeah.
possibly even stay with the UFC. But with the way that Brennanson starts out real aggressive, like I was talking about, I see Sai catching his ass real early, and I see I see him finishing it in his
Yeah.
in fucking Paris, and Paris just
In
losing his
hometown,
shit.
Umar Sy's hometown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're rolling with the hometown dog there, or hometown
Yep.
favorite.
I got Umar Sy. Possible inside the distance. Possible first round too. So
Yeah, I'll probably sprinkle some round props on it. Why not?
yeah, I would like Omar Sy round one.
Yeah. Next fight, it'll be the featured prelim. We got William Gomi versus Robert Ushala. What do you got, Z?
I got Robert Ushala.
Do ya?
I got Robert Ushala. I mean, don't get me wrong, bro. William Gomez, he is most definitely a very good fighter. But, you know, like I was saying, you know, earlier, Rashala, he's a third ranked fighter in Poland in
Mm-hmm.
featherweight division. He's 11-1, and he's coming into this fight with, you know, a little bit of momentum behind him. He was very dominant in his previous organization, KSW, um, and he has a very aggressive kickboxing base, and he has a very solid BJJ background with you know, 3 subs under his belt. Gomez, on the other hand, you know, like I was saying, he's a really good prospect, really good prospect. He's 4-1 in the UFC with a 14-3 record.
Yeah.
Um, and he's going to be fighting at home, just like with Umar Sy. So I think he is going to be really locked in for this. But I guess my biggest concern about this fight too was, you know, his last fight, he kind of had a real bad weight cut. He had that really bad weight cut where damn near collapsed
Yeah.
on the fucking scales. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously they would fucking learn from their mistakes, or at least, you know, one would hope so. But regardless, though, um, I think Gomez will try to keep and manage the distance, you know, against Rushala. But I believe if he can get inside, and he most definitely can hit you with some heavy fucking shots too.
Yeah.
So if he can get inside and he can get a clinch and, you know, grapple with Gomez, I see him outworking and outpacing Gomez, and I see Rushala possibly getting a fucking late finish, or even a decision win here. So I guess I'm gonna go with the Polish dog,
Polish
and
dog.
I'm gonna go with Robert Rushala.
I like it. I like it. I'm on the opposite side here. I'm on William Gomez. Gomez is coming off of a loss to Hyder Emil. He was the from the Philippines, and then Hyder Emil. Just lost, I think, in his last time out.
Yeah, by knockout.
Yeah, that was on the Oliveira Taporia card.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it. But yeah, Gomez is tall for this division. He's 6 foot, and he's got a pretty long reach for this division as well. He has pretty decent takedown defense, and he does have the finishing ability on the feet. He probably won't chase any subs here, but he does have a few on his resume. On the other side, Robert Bruchala, he's the guy coming from an OK org, KSW. I would probably put them in that B tier as far as orgs go. I think Cage Warrior I'd have in the A tier, LFA A tier, a few others like that. But yeah, Bruchala's coming from a good org or a decent org. And he doesn't really have that Polish power that like we were just talking about with
he does.
The 3 knockouts. Yeah, he is pretty well rounded though. He does have as many finishes on the ground as he does on the feet. So he's a guy that can get it done anywhere. But I'm just rolling with the hometown guy here, just playing it simple, playing it safe, and just seeing the track record of the debut guys. I'm gonna keep rolling with the train until the wheels come off, until we really see some hype behind these debut guys. This might be the card to do it. There's quite a few guys that are coming in and are on a debut or on their second fight from their debut. So we'll see how it goes, but I think the rest of the year, I think that's kind of my game plan. Unless it's like a clear mismatch, then we'll see. So yeah, my pick on this one's William Gomez. Opening up the main card, we got Patricio Pitbull versus Losine Kita. What do you got, Z?
I got Kita.
Do you? Do you?
Do you? Brother, I do. I know in the past, we talked about this. We talked about vets versus up and coming prospects, and I mean, yeah, Pitbull, he hasn't been in the UFC for a whole long, but he is a fucking vet, bro. He is a vet, 100%.
OG.
He is a Bellator legend. I mean, but I think in this case, it's real different, and there's multiple reasons why. You got a kid like Kieta who is just dominant in his prior organization and has beaten dudes with twice the amount of fights he's had. And I think they're lining this kid up for an explosive intro into the UFC, especially against like a vet like Pitbull.
Guy's been there, done that.
Exactly. And like I said, on the other hand, Pitbull is the man to beat. He is a legend. He's a legend in the Bellator scene. I think if Kieta can keep the distance and start to get into his flow a little bit, I think he could catch Pitbull. Early and finish the fight. Yeah.
That's kind of the problem when Patricio fought Yair. Yair kind of has that same awkward style. Keita's definitely got more like that kickboxing Muay Thai kind of style.
He's bigger than Pitbull too.
Yeah. For me in this one, I got Pitbull. Reason is because he's OG, man. You can't knock on OG. He was the guy from Bellator who he ran that scene for a long time, and then he comes over, has a pretty crappy debut, but then he comes back and puts on a clinic against Ige. And then he's just got a lot of accolades. He's got some high level jiu-jitsu. He's got a black belt, and he's not a guy who very often gets finished. I think he's only been finished like 2 or 3 times in his career ever. Out of 45 fights, going into his 46th. So he's a guy that's very durable. He's a guy who's gonna, he's gonna live. Now on the other side is Losine Kita. My question mark with Kita is, he does get a lot of knockouts, and he does get a few decision wins, but he doesn't have any submission wins on his record, and it makes me wonder what his ground game looks like if it does get to the ground. And when you got a guy like Patricio Pitbull who can chain together all these takedown attempts, and just be in your face, like you're saying, losing Kita's game plan here is he's got to stay long. He's got to keep the range because if Pitbull gets on him and gets him to the ground, is Pitbull going to be able to hold him down? Is Pitbull going to be able to work a submission game and just play control time? That's kind of my biggest worry for Kita. I mean, he is a very highly anticipated guy coming over into this org. Um, it's just what are we going to see here? We might be getting a snooze fest here if I'm being blunt because I think if it is Pitbull, it might be that shitty 30-27 scorecard and we might see Keita stuck on his back the whole time. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully this is a fun fight, but that's Joe Stradamus, man. That's my prediction there, and that's how I think this is going to play out. Uh,
I think Kieda's gonna pull Derek Lewis, and he's just gonna stand up.
yeah, he's like, this dude just it's fake.
He's just gonna stand up.
All right, let's move on. Next fight. This fight was the opener of the prelims when I last saw it, and surprised it jumped up into the main card. We got Axel Sola versus Reese McKee. This is
Excited for this one.
Yeah, I think this will be a pretty good fight. They moved it up for good reason. Axel Sola is undefeated. And I think is it his debut? Yeah, he's coming off of the Aries scene, which again, just like KSW, are kind of having that B tier. Not a super great org. But he is undefeated, so you can't knock a guy who's undefeated. He's doing what he has to over there. He's getting all the finishes in Aries. When he was on Aries, he got 5 finishes. And then he has this majority decision here. And he does what he has to. He gets the finishes when he has to, and that's how he ends up in a debut here on a main card in Paris, in his hometown. On the other side, we got Reese McKee. By the way, let me say my pick here is Reese McKee. And I'm riding on Reese McKee here because he's not someone that you can just count out. He has been in the UFC before. He had a rough go about it. He lost to Hamzat Chimaev and he lost to Alex Morono when he was over here. And then he went back to the regional scene. He won 3 in a row on the regional scene, comes up, loses again, twice in a row on the UFC scene. And then he gets his win against Daniel Frunze, which was a brutal finish. And he was a fat underdog in this one. And it was just, I mean, I just look at it as like a comeback story in a sense, even though he did already come back and had his 2 losses off rip when he came back in. But, I think he turned a new leaf, and I think he's figuring things out. That's just what I'm hoping. But yeah, he's going to be the bigger guy, and I think that's going to play a big part here. He's not no slouch. He's got that dog mentality, and yeah, I like I said, a guy coming from the Aries scene. If he's undefeated in the Aries scene, maybe he does have something that we don't know about. Maybe he really is just that good. But I think the theme on this Paris card is we're seeing guys come from these organizations, and we think they're going to come in and just run through guys, but I think they're just going to get checked at the door. And I think this is one of those fights where Reese McKee's just gonna kind of roll over Sola.
No, no. See, my pick here is Alex Sola. I got Alex Sola winning this. I do agree with you though. You can't count a dude out like Reese McKee. But my breakdown on this is Alex Sola. He's a very well-rounded fighter, with a mix of striking and grappling in there. I think his cardio as well and his technical skills just rate higher than McKee. And he's also undefeated. I mean, like you were saying, the organization he's coming from is a little iffy, but he's 10-0, with one of those or just 10-0. And McKee on the other hand, like you were saying, you can't count him out. McKee's
Yeah,
real battle tested. He's real battle tested. He's a heavy-handed striker as well,
yeah,
and he's been in the UFC since 2020. I mean, he did get let go and went back to Cage Warriors in 2021. Ended up winning the belt over there and defended it, and then came back. But like you were saying, he lost his 2 after coming back. He's currently 1-2 in his last 3 recent fights. But I just see Sola being the better and more skillful fighter here. Um, he's proven himself to be a champion level fighter as well. His last 5 fights were being title fights.
Yeah.
And 3 of them were finishes as well. Um, and one of them, like you were saying, Reese McKee lost to Hamzat. One of them was by crucifix elbows.
Yeah.
Alex Sola got. So I mean, if you're
Y-
able to get that crucifix going and you're just landing those elbows, bro, yeah.
Yeah.
My pick here is Alex Sola. I got Alex Sola winning this fight.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Next fight on the main card, we got Balaji Oki versus Mason Jones.
Dude, for some reason, I think this fight's gonna be a banger.
You you
I
think
just
so?
feel like this. I just feel like this fight. Like I just feel like these dudes are kind of like coming in here. Like it's obviously not like we haven't seen a whole lot of like beef. You know what I mean? But I feel like these guys are gonna get into the fight, bro, and it's just gonna be
A
it's gonna be
war.
a fucking brawl, bro. I mean, you got Belgium versus Wells.
Yeah, the Welsh versus
So
yeah. Who do you got in this one?
I got Mason Jones,
Do you?
brother.
Okay,
I
okay.
got Mason Jones winning this, and I think like I said, I think both these guys are going to be gunning to take each other's heads off.
Yeah.
But I think Mason Jones is going to be the smarter fighter in the exchanges. I think he can maintain a high pace, and his volume and his striking and grappling could keep Oki on his back foot. If Jones could avoid, the early exchanges from Oki, because Oki's kind of he's scary, dude. And Jones can get inside and get inside the distance. His wrestling could really nullify Oki here.
Mm,
And I mean, Oki hasn't seen a well-rounded guy like Mason Jones.
yeah.
Um, I also see Oki gassing out. I see him gassing out, and I see Jones finding the late finish in this fight. But regardless, though, I think this fight is going to be a banger. And if Mason Jones could weather the early storm, yeah, I think Mason Jones can take the win here because Oki's going to be fucking throwing some heavy punches. So
I like it. Yeah, my breakdown on this is, I look at a guy like Balaji Oki. Yeah, he's scary, but the level of competition he's fought hasn't been very admirable. His loss, he got put to sleep in a guillotine choke by Chris Duncan back in Paris when it was Benoit Saint Denis versus Moicano. Um, and
was
that's
he the one that made the face when he was that Chaos Williams? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
I
you
don't
off,
remember.
but
I know what you're talking about. But I don't remember.
they like made a face. They were like, all right.
I don't know. I'd have to look at that. It's funny, but yeah, I look at this fight and I see a lot of red flags on Balaji Oki because you got a guy like Mason Jones who he just stood and banged with Jeremy Stevens, a guy who's a bare knuckle fighter, a guy who has insane knockout power. I think he's I don't want to bullshit any numbers, but I know he's like top of the list for like knockouts at lightweight, right? Or featherweight. So he's a scary guy. He's a guy
Yeah,
who
Jeremy Stevens.
yeah, he's a guy. He's an older guy. Mason Jones put on a clinic. I mean, it was unanimous decision. I think it was 30-27s and a 30-26 in that fight. And he did work a ground game as well. He did get a lot of takedowns against Jeremy Stevens. And he's riding a pretty fat win streak right now. And he has a submission game. He trains out of a jiu-jitsu gym. And I think a guy like Balaji Oki, we saw the way he just got put to sleep like against Chris Duncan. And like I said, the level of competition he's fought hasn't been on the level of Mason Jones. Um, I see I see Mason Jones getting a submission win here. Like I said, probably late round 2, early round 3. That's what I got in this one. Mason Jones by finish. We can root for the finishes. We hope for the finishes. These are all gonna be amazing fights. Hopefully they play out that way.
Oh
Um,
no.
Moving on. Budesis Bukauskas versus Paul Craig. Yep. Yep.
Kauskas is gonna fucking kill Paul Craig.
What do you got? What do you got?
You know how I see this fight. You know how I see this fight. I see this fight like McCall versus GM3, bro. I see this fight like McCall versus GM3. Kauskas is
Yeah.
a scary dude. He is a scary striker. And when he gets his fucking hands moving, bro, if you're standing in front of him and you're catching those, you're getting cooked. I mean,
We saw it firsthand in
we
Seattle.
exactly. We saw him get the first round finish in Seattle, just absolutely bonking that dude's head.
And that was the start of his win streak too. Or wait, no, that was
Yeah.
right here. But yeah,
But yeah, I mean, if he can get his hands moving, dude, which he's going to get his fucking hands moving, and he's most definitely going to keep a better pace against Paul Craig and Bukowskis, dude. He has uh Jesus, he has a well-rounded offense. I think this fight ends in the first round. With Bukowski screaming into the lights, dude, just screaming up in the middle of the octagon, and Craig is just sleeping on the ground. And honestly, the only way Paul Craig win here is if he can get Bukowski on the ground early, and he can hold him on the ground early, which I don't see him fucking doing, because Bukowski is a big scary dude, and he's gonna fucking find Paul Craig's chin.
yeah, yeah. They're coming in. They're coming in both big guys, 6'3". Paul Craig has jumped up and down weight class a few times. I think he's finally decided to just stick around at light heavyweight. Um, Bukowskis, yeah, he's coming in with strong kickboxing. That's kind of his art of choice. Um, and he is kind of getting ready to jump into that next upper echelon of this division. I feel like he's on a 3-fight win streak and a win over Paul Craig. I mean, it's not a very good win. Just because just looking at Paul Craig's last 5, it's just like he's lost to Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen's in the top 15. He lost to Borralho, a guy that's in the main event. Lost to Bo Nickel, who just got project. And then he has an accidental up kick on Rodolfo Bellato, and it was like a weird knockout sequence that obviously wasn't legal because his knee was down.
Acting.
It was fake. But yeah, it's a fight for Paul Craig that I feel like this is a fight that send him on his way out the door, 100%. Bukowskis, I think this is the fight they're trying to set him up with to get him moving in the division, just because he still is a younger guy at 31, who can still move through this division. And he has at least he's got good wins. Marcin Prachnio Prachnio has got crazy kicks. He gets a finish by sub. Rafa Cerqueira, we saw him turn his head into a sparring dummy. Fucking, he knocked his head off. And then he comes off of a split against Ion Kudalaba. I think I had Bukowskis in this one as well. But yeah, we saw Ion fight in Seattle too, and Ion's got that wrestling background as well, and Bukowskis survived that. He was able to work his.
That was a really close fight.
Yeah.
Really close fight.
So a guy like Bukowskis, this is the fight he needs. This is the fight that kind of tells us exactly where he is, because the thing about Paul Craig is he's not no slouch. He's an elite Brazilian jiu-jitsu player. He can pull guard, and it's whether or not you take that bait and think you can get a finish inside his guard or on the ground with him, which it's kind of foolish if you do decide to go to the ground with him, just because we've seen him get finishes on guys like Magomed Ankalaev with 1 second left. It's pretty silly of you if you want to go to the ground with Paul Craig. Even if you got him hurt, I think you let the ref stand him up, and then you get the standing knockout, or you actually put his lights out. Otherwise,
just like McCall in GM3.
Otherwise, I'm not following Paul Craig to the ground. I think that's a silly idea. But if Modestas Bukowskis minds his P's and Q's here and plays it right, I think he gets a finish inside the distance, as he should. If he sees the square cards, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Me too.
Moving on to the co-main event, we got Benoit Saint-Denis versus Mauricio Rufy. Z, go ahead, take this one.
I love Mauricio Rufy. I love the fighting nerds. And Mauricio Rufy's striking, bro, is just something to behold. I mean, this guy is just so crisp, and the way he sets you up, the way he sets up his opponents, and the way he really utilizes his opponent's gaps and weaknesses, like building up during the fight. Like he'll set you, like, especially against that James Yontop fight. He was setting up Yontop early on in the fight, and he was finding those openings in the later rounds. It's just Yontop was just a fucking tank, bro.
Yeah, I couldn't put
Because
him
all
away.
those shots, yeah, all those shots Rufy was landing on Yontop were death shots, bro. They were like they were life ending shots. So I mean, um, it's just the way Rufy breaks down his opponents and finds their gaps and capitalizes off of that. And he does have a perfect takedown record. I mean, perfect takedown defense record.
Hmm.
Um, but before I can continue, BSD is a pretty well-rounded fighter. He just won submission by submission, right?
Uh,
Against
Kyle Propilic.
who was it? Yeah, it just won by submission. So I mean, if BSD can get Rufy to the ground and if he can control him on the ground, BSD has a chance, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I see Rufy taking his time here. I see Rufy playing with BSD. I see Rufy just putting on another highlight performance. And yeah, my pick here is Rufy, and I see Rufy looking for that highlight real out. And yep, I got Mauricio Rufy winning.
Yeah. Yep. I got Rufy as well. This is a fight where Benoit Saint-Denis, when he first came into the UFC, we kind of were starting to look at him as like the boogeyman for the lightweight division. The way he was kind of just rolling through dudes, and he's French special forces. He has a lot of accolades outside of the UFC. He's one of those elite military guys. Um, and he has great jujitsu, and he also has great hands. Like you're saying, he's a very well rounded guy. But he kind of hit a wall, and when he had these two losses in a row, he came off of his win over Matt Frivola, and then he comes in, fights Dustin Poirier, and gets knocked out. I thought, okay, that's just a fraud check. He's going to come back and he's going to get a win, and then because we thought he was just going to tune up Moicano last time they were in Paris, and Moicano full mounts him, beats his fucking head in, and they call the fight off due to doctor stoppage. And then they say, okay, well, we need to give Benoit Saint-Denis an opponent that they probably viewed as lesser. Because I remember when they took this Kyle Propilek fight, pretty sure Benoit was like a -1,000 odd favorite. And even in this one, Kyle Propilek still gave him a hard time up until it hit the mat. So it was just like, is Benoit really as good as we think he is, or did people finally just figure him out? Like, what's going on? And I think a guy like Mercer Roof, like you're saying, like he's got really good ground defense. He is a walking highlight reel. He's the closest thing that we've had to Conor McGregor in our era. He fights very identical to him. He's got that karate stance. He has his hands low and he likes to jump back and forth. He likes to work his shots. I think Mercer Rufy can find a finish here. I think as long as he keeps his range, keeps maybe he just finds the knockoff rip. Who knows? But I don't see any world where Mercer Rufy doesn't win this. I think guys have figured out Benoit. And if Benoit can't adjust to what's in front of him, he's just going to keep sitting on the outside of these rankings. And guys should keep jumping in front of him. Whatever is set up next for Rufy after this, being a fighting nerd and being, this being a ranked fight for both these guys. I wouldn't be shocked to see Rufy get a top 5 after this.
Yeah,
I mean, the lightweight division is very busy, and stuff like this, especially if you get a finish in this fight, you got a lot of things ahead of you set up.
and coming from where he's coming from too. Look at his teammates. Fucking you got Carlos Prates, Gene Silva, Kyle Borralho, who's the main event. So
Yeah,
100%. I see if Rufy wins that fight, he's most definitely going to be in the talks of top 5.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
That's
I'm
gonna be really
excited
good
for this
fight.
one,
That's gonna be
dude.
a really good fight.
God,
100%. And if you guys haven't already, we really appreciate you guys sticking around this long and watching this video. Thank you very much. But give us a like and go ahead and subscribe to us. We appreciate that. And if you stuck around this long, go ahead and comment. Let us know that. We appreciate you. We love you.
yeah.
But go ahead, Joe. Let's get into the last fight of the
The
night.
main event, ladies and gents, got
I am
Nasruddin
so
Imavov
excited.
versus Caio Borralho.
is gonna be such a banger.
My pick here is Kaio. I'm rolling with the Fighting Nerds for coming into Paris and fucking taking over. Uh,
Yeah, hell yeah.
yeah, on one side we got Nasruddin Imavov. He's coming in, and he's a scary fighter. He came into this fight off of his KO win over Izzy. Whether or not it was the best Izzy, I think that's up for debate. I don't think it was. I think that kind of is just showing the decline. As far as Israel Adesanya, I think he had that loss to Imavov, he had a loss to DDP, and he had a loss to Strickland. I think he's got some things that he has to figure out. I think guys were just starting to figure him out a little bit. Um, and Imavov, he has a bit of a weird resume. He has losses to guys like Phil Haas, as well as a unanimous decision loss to Sean Strickland. He will come in as the taller guy, but he is going to have the same reach as Kaio. Um, and I think that he's going to have less avenues for a finish here. He's definitely more the like his nickname is. He's more of the sniper. He's more of the guy that's going to try and get you out on the feet. And it sounds really easy to prevent, but he is really good at it. And there's a reason that this is probably the title eliminator fight. I think winner of this will be fighting Hamzat. Either end of this, probably not end of this year, probably start of 2026. But yeah, on the other side we got Kyle Ohio, the head of the Fighting Nerds, head of this freaking amazing gym that over the last year and a half, 2 years has just grown into a really big social presence. And for good reason. All these guys are ranked. And Kyle, he's probably gonna be first up for the title shot here with a win over Nasruddin Imavov. He comes in and he's 17-1, and he had. If you look at MMA math, he does have a bit of the better run, I would say. Only fight that these two share is the Jared Cannonier fight. Which was his last time out. He got a nice decision win over that, but he did 10-8 him in the fifth, if I remember right.
Yeah, he almost finished him.
Yeah. And Imavov got the finish. That's like the only comparison you can really give between these two, which is the MMA math, which never works out that way. But Kyle, man, he definitely has more ways to play this. He has great jiu-jitsu. He competes in grappling outside of UFC. He grappled with Brendan Allen his last time out. And he won against Brendan Allen in grappling, which says a lot because Brendan Allen is a great jiu-jitsu player. He's a black belt, and that's kind of what he's known for is his ground game. He comes in here, and he has knockout power. He has the ground game. He has the 5-round experience. A guy like Imavov, he has been in main events, but he has not seen championship rounds. So that's kind of my big question mark on Imavov is what is his gas tank going to look like if we do see those fourth and fifth. It shouldn't really be a question, but it is because he hasn't seen him inside the UFC. So that's kind of my big question mark here, and that's why I'm pretty confident in this Kaio pick. But yeah, what do you got, Z?
I like it. I'm riding with Kyle too. I mean, I'm right.
Good man.
Gotta go with head honcho of the Fighting Nerds.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie though, dude. Looking at this fight was real iffy. Just seeing Nasruddin Imavov just bitch Izzy like that. I mean, I agree with you too, though. Like, is that the best version of Izzy?
Probably not.
Highly arguable. So I mean, I got Kyle winning here. I think Kyle is just very durable,
Mhm.
and he can most definitely weather the exchanges coming back from him from Imavov. Um, I mean, looking back at the Jared Cannonier fight, he really showed heart. He showed heart, and he showed that he could fight at that championship level, and he could continue you know to look for that win come early, or no, not come early, but come later on into the round.
Yeah.
He still has that that finish mentality. Not just looking for a safe way to get out of this fight. Um, I believe Imavov is going to try to keep the distance from Kyle, though.
Mhm.
I believe he's going to try to stay away from Kyle. Knowing the grappling threat that's coming back towards him. I think if Kyle can avoid the counters and the heavy shots from Imavov and initiate the clinch, I see Kyle outpacing and gassing out Imavov. Like you were talking about, Imavov hasn't seen those championship rounds.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in those 5 rounders, but has he gone past, to the fourth, to the fifth, in that real gritty fucking fight?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, not like Kyle has.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, Kyle, bro, he has high fight IQ. I mean, he's the leader of the fighting nerds for a reason. He's the one who started it. He's the first one who got into the UFC, and this is where he's at now. And a dude like Kyle, he's received praise from Izzy and DDP, who were both former champions.
They know he's
Um,
good.
yeah, exactly. They know that he's the fucking next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Against Hamzat, that's questionable, but Imavov is still very live to win here, though. I mean, Imavov fighting, at home. Um, there's gonna be a little bit of hype with him.
There is bad blood
There's
in this fight too.
there is bad blood in this fight as well. I completely forgot about that. These dudes were talking a lot of shit. Kyle was making a lot of videos on Instagram, and then Imavov was kind of ghosting him for a little bit, and Imavov came back with shit talk. They were both putting out these videos. I'm pretty sure Imavov put a video out too where he was walking around in the favelas of Brazil, and he was going up to kids and asking them if they knew who Kyle was, and they were speaking Portuguese. And they were going up to these Brazilian people and asking them, "Do you know who Caio Borralho is?" And they're like, "No, who the hell is that?" In Brazil. So there is a lot of beef in this fight as well.
Yeah.
Um, but I got Kyle here. Like I was talking about, he has a high fight IQ. He's very durable, and he's just really smart. And I think Kyle wins by decision here. I think this is going to be a very competitive fight, or he probably finds a finish, come late round.
Yeah.
So my pick here is Kyle Borralho. I think Kyle Borralho can get it done against the Frenchman.
Yeah, I'm excited for this card. We're not right now, but when Friday rolls around, we're gonna be getting into a bit of the betting odds here, and there's gonna be a lot of angles to play in this card. I feel like there are a lot of underdogs. I feel like are mispriced, um,
Hmm.
but overall, it's a pretty good card. Today was the Dana
Yeah,
White Contender Series. We didn't get anything out for that, but that was good. If anyone watched that, that was a pretty good card. Um,
smacked a little parlay on that.
yeah. Yeah. That's it for the breakdown show today, guys. On the Cozy Talks episode. We appreciate you guys for sticking around, like we said before. If you haven't already,
We do.
subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. We appreciate it as always. With that being said, we will see you guys Friday for our next episode. So stay tuned for that. With that being said, stay cozy. See you guys next time.